Hi, my name is Jared Zemp with Children First Education Fund. And if you're watching this video, it's probably because one of your employees has asked to direct the state tax withholding from their paycheck specifically to the state scholarship fund for kids with special educational needs. And this is probably the first time you've seen something like this because we're the only ones who can do it. It's a special exception made by the Utah State Legislature, and I can send you over the code so you can see it for reference. But Utah Congress put together a special program called the Carson Smith Opportunity Program that allows you to say, hey, I want my state tax payment to go specifically for scholarships for kids with special needs. And so the way that works is that you can, for most employees, people with a regular paycheck, W-2 employees, they'll get to the end of the year and they'll say, "Hey, I'm making $100,000, so I have $5,000 that I owe in state taxes." So they write a $5,000 check to Children First Education Fund, and then they submit it with their taxes, and then they end up getting that $5,000 refunded. And that's all well and good, but they've already had that $5,000 withheld from their paycheck all year long. And so we went to the tax commission and just said, hey, it's kind of silly that they have to basically pay twice and then get refunded once for this to work. Can we just have their state tax withholdings from their paycheck go directly to the education fund? And they said, you bet. All you had to do was ask. And so, how often can you say the tax commission was super helpful, right? But this was one of those moments. So, um, yeah. So, Children First is the nonprofit administrator designated by the state legislature to run the Carson Smith Opportunity Program. And last year they gave us $3.5 million. And it's kind of a weird year, right? It's an academic year. So the 2024-2025 academic year, they gave us $3.5 million in appropriations. That's budget money. They set aside of the state budget, $3.5 million will go into scholarships for kids with special needs. And then they also gave us $6 million of tax credits, so we could go out and get, if people said, "Hey, I want my tax payment to go specifically for scholarships," um, then we could get up to an additional $6 million. And last year we were able to raise $4.5 million that way, which is an enormous. It's almost a threefold increase over the prior year. And so the legislature, when they got together this year and redid the budget, they said, you know what? We gave them $3.5 million last year. Let's give them an additional $4 million of budget money. And if they can get all $6 million of tax credits distributed, then we'll bump them up about another $2 million of tax credits. And so we've been really grateful. The support that we've received from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, from the Miller Foundation, from some of the biggest nonprofits and large corporations in the state of Utah, has been enormous. CC Bank, Medallion Bank, Mastercard have all participated in the program. And so we're now reaching out, especially to the family and friends of kids who receive these scholarships, and saying, please contact your employer. Please, please, please direct your state tax withholdings to the scholarship fund. It counts as your tax payment, so it doesn't cost you anything, but it makes a world of difference for these kids. Now, the scholarships are specifically for kids going to private schools or to homeschool programs. The school board gets gets tens of millions of dollars specifically for special education programs, but some kids can't be helped in that way or in that setting. My 8-year-old homeschools. He has severe social anxiety, and so going to school and being in a group setting is really really difficult for him. Um, and it's been quite the journey to get him the help that he needs. And so this is a great program for people like my son. um, you can actually designate what program or what school you want your donation to go to. And so if you have a niece or a nephew, if somebody you know, somebody you love has special educational needs, you can say, I want my donation to go to that school. You can't specify that it's for that student specifically, but you can specify that it's for that school specifically. And the average scholarship that we're giving out is $10,000. And so if you're lower income with a larger family, you'll qualify for between the $11,000 and $12,000 mark. And if you're a higher income, smaller family, then you'll qualify between the $8,000 and $9,000 mark. And so on average, we're giving out scholarships of about $10,000. So just to kind of put this in perspective, um, we gave out 803 scholarships in the 2024-2025 academic year. And that still left about 400 kids on the waiting list. With the additional budget money from the state, we can now cover all 400 kids on the waiting list. The trouble is, and that's awesome, that's amazing. We are grateful for that. I don't want to sound ungrateful. But the trouble is that we should, if we keep growing the way that we're growing, we'll see an additional 400 kids on the waiting list again. And so that's why this program matters so much. This payroll integration program matters so much because it's a way for us to actually fund all those scholarships for the kids on the waiting list. The kids on the waiting list from this last year are finally getting a scholarship for the next year. So they've been waiting for a year to get the scholarship. And we're hoping to eliminate that 1 year waiting period. Um, for context, there's about 86,000 students in Utah with special needs in the K-12 program. Um, of those, we're servicing about 1%. So public school, by and large, is doing a dang good job of helping kids with special needs. And we're focusing on that top 1 or 2% of kids that can't have their needs met in the public education system. So, how can you help? Well, the first thing we ask our donors to do is to maximize their personal tax donation. So some people will donate $2,000, but then they actually have a $5,000 state tax bill. And so we say, hey, it counts as your tax payment, so you might as well have your total tax amount going to your total state tax amount going to Children First Education Fund. So that's where we start. But then we also ask them, hey, can you please set it up so that your tax withholdings are coming on a regular basis? That makes all the difference in the world because most people will wait until the end of the year or until it's time to file their taxes to write that check. And that doesn't fit very well with the academic schedule, where kids are starting school, in August, and we're only seeing the donations in April and December. So this is a way that we can kind of even out when we receive the money and be able to issue the scholarships at the beginning of the school year. And then, of course, we're hoping that by the time you set it up with that one employee, that you can actually then roll it out to the other employees in your company. I'll go over on the next slide, I'll go over how that works. But basically, once you've set it up for one employee, it works for all the employees in your company. And so you might as well let us come and do a 5 or 10 minute presentation that just explains how this works and and answer any questions that they have. It's just a half-page form. They sign it and say, I want to direct my tax withholdings this way. But then also the company level. Companies have to pay income tax to the state as well. And so this is a way for the company to be able to say 5% of profit goes to scholarships for kids with special needs. And really, all you're doing is making your tax payment, right? But by directing it into the scholarship fund, you can also say, hey, we're engaged in the community. We're helping out. We're giving back. And that doesn't just give back to the kids with the scholarships, but that also invigorates your employees and helps them feel like they're working for a greater cause. So the employees opt in, they sign that half-page form. It's just basically their contact information, and then the bottom half is an explanation how it works. They sign saying they understand. Um, and then at the end of the month, when you normally would write a check to Utah State Tax Commission for the payroll withholdings, um, for the people who've opted in, you'll then write one check to Utah or to Children First Education Fund. And for the people who have not opted in, you'll do a separate check for the Utah State Tax Commission. Once we receive that check, we then log in to the State Tax Commission website and issue tax certificates for each employee who's directed their withholdings this way. And so you'll get a copy of the tax certificate, and the employee will get a copy of the tax certificate, and that serves as their receipt. So, and your receipt, so that you can say, hey, we withheld this properly, and they can say, hey, I've already made this payment. So everything is copacetic at the end of the month. That's how it works. Most payroll systems will have you just set up a voluntary withholding account in the payroll software, and that's where you'll designate their monthly payment, and then zero out their state tax payment. So that's it. Like it actually is pretty dang simple. I think we kind of worked through it on the first employee, whoever sent you this video, presumably, and then once we've kind of worked out the wrinkles, then we'll usually come in about a month later, do a lunch and learn. If you provide lunch, great. We are a nonprofit. If we need to provide lunch, that's okay too. But just give everybody sandwiches and answer any questions. Tell them how the program works, and try to encourage people to opt in to directing their state withholdings this way. It's a huge social impact. Like I can't describe to you. I'm gonna have to send you the videos of the students saying thank you. But talking to the moms, talking to the dads, um, who have struggled so hard to find a good fit for their kid, and then being handed a scholarship and saying, you have control, you can decide how to spend this to help your kid. And of course, we have to approve the expenses and what have you. There's guidelines and rules, but having that freedom to give their kid what they really need is a life-changing experience. So please direct your contributions. You're already making state tax payments. All you got to do is say, I want it to go specifically into the scholarship fund that the state has. The social impact, the good that you do, but also the marketing benefit, right? You can do well by doing good, you know, not just by helping the kids and improving employee morale, improving retention, helping you to attract talent, but also so that we'll actually put together a thank you video. One of the students will say, thank you so much to your company for helping me get this scholarship. And then we'll publish it on our socials and give it to you so that you can publish it on yours, to create an overall good feeling around your company, around your brand, around your product, around your service offering. So there you have it. It's pretty straightforward, really simple. Reach out, shoot me a text. That's probably the best way. No, we can hop on the phone. It's only a 10-minute call, and walk through, kind of answer whatever questions you have about your particular payroll system. Um, I think I've trained a total of about 30,000 accountants on various things like this over the years, and so happy to hop on. And I think I've worked with just about every major accounting system at this point in the country. So yeah, give me a call. Let's get together and um, let's help the kids. Thanks.